Hi everyone, it's James here from the Studio Rats. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions about mixing the most important part of any rhythm track, which is of course, the drums. And while I don't always use the same old processing when it comes to drums, I do have 2 or 3 go-to processors and plugins when I'm mixing drums in the box. And to be honest, some might call it cheating and some might call it smart use of time, but I love the Chris Lord Alge CLA drums plugin by Waves. Now, it's not going to work for every style of music. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all trick for mixing drums. But when I want an upfront, tight, rock-style drum sound, this is a great place to start, and it uses just one plugin. I think Chris Lord Alge, along with Jack Joseph Puig, or JJP, were 2 of the first celebrity mixers to have signature plugins. And actually, the 2 plugins follow a very similar style and layout. However, CLA Drums, to me at least, gives the best results and it gets them fast. So let's have a quick look around the plugin. On the left, we have the input level and polarity invert, so you can get your drums in phase and sounding as fat as possible right off the bat. We then have a 6-position drum selector knob for kick, snare, toms, overheads, room and cowbell. Think of cowbell as percussion or metalwork. We then have 5 sliders for bass, treble, compress, reverb and gate. Above each of these sliders are 3 different tone or texture settings. So in the bass section we have sub, lower and upper. In treble we have bite, top and roof. We have 3 types of compression, push, spank and wall. 3 types of reverb, studio, club and hall. And 2 types of gate, soft and hard. Finally, there is also an output level slider. Working with the team at Waves, CLA has built virtual processing chains that he would normally create in hardware when working out of the box with his SSL console. So, changing from say the bite to the top section in the treble section might be the difference between using a Neve or an API style EQ. We're not just changing the range of the EQ or the bass settings, we're also changing the type and the style of EQ. For a very simple to use plugin, there's a lot going on under the hood. So in this video, we're working on a track by British artist Benjamin Bloom called Brainwashed. It's a track that I play drums on and it sounds a bit like this. I'll bypass all the CLA drums plugins first so you can hear how the drums sound naked. And now let's turn them all on. Quite a marked difference, I think you'll agree. Let me show you how I got there, starting with the kick drum. There are 3 mics on the kick, an inside, an outside and a sub. Let me show you the kick inside mic. I can start with all the modules disengaged by turning them off. And even now with the modules off, I still get some of that CLA processing. This is the bus processing and the routing that CLA uses to get his drum tone. And it's a great starting point. Only when we bypass the plugin does this get turned off. So let's dial in the bass and treble EQs to bring out the power and clarity of the drum. Now let's set the compression and hear the 3 types and how they affect the tone of the kick drum. Now let's add some reverb to the kick drum. Yes, I said reverb to the kick. In a real room, the kick would excite the room nearly as much as the snare would. So let's give the kick drum some space. Finally, let's add some gate to keep the kick sound nice and tight. This for me is the real trick to getting that big 80s style processed drum sound. And we can balance and match the input to the output using the output fader. Let's work on the snare top mic next. We can flick the drum selector knob around to snare, which changes the EQ settings under each of the three categories to something more snare drum mid-range focused. Let's dial it in. On the hi-hat, I'm going to use the cowbell setting. This time, instead of a gate on the final slider, we get a delay, and to add some width to this hi-hat part, I'm going to add the .8 delay along with some EQ and reverb. Now, there were no room mics in this session as my room is so small, so we can finally look at the overheads, and again I'm going to dial it in to give me a clean and controlled cymbal and tom sound. Put it all together and this is what you get. What I love about this plugin is it's so quick to get a really powerful drum sound. Now, with my playing style, we have a lot to work with. However, when mixing some less experienced drummers who maybe don't hit with the same confidence or definition, volume, let's face it, CLA drums can really bring a drum track back from the edge of unusable. We get a classic, solid drum tone with very little effort. What's not to love? So I really hope you've enjoyed that and got something out of it. Please do remember to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell to be kept up to date with all the latest from the Studio Rats. Also, if you like the Waves CLA drum plugin and want to add it to your plugin collection, do please follow the link up here and in the notes to the Waves store and help us keep bringing Studio Rats content to you. It would really, really help us out. My name's James Ivey from the Studio Rats and I'll see you again very soon.